Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sammy, United People's TV, hat on indoors, cold AF, but we are talking through all the latest news. And I tell you what, we've got a very busy show lined up today. We're going to be speaking about the confirmed €50 million bid that's gone in for Alejandro Garnacho from Napoli. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that, as well as our opening bid for Patrick Dorgu, €27 million. And that's been rejected. I'm going to run through the latest on that. Also, Marcus Rashford's agents meeting Barcelona, and he wants to move there. Are United potentially moving for a new attacker, depending, I suppose, on exits? And the top line story from yesterday as well, Ruben Amorim's bust up with the squad after Brighton. I already did my video yesterday, okay? And I want to have a conversation with you this morning as a community and see get your opinions on it. Someone's asking me down there, Sam, geez, is your heater blown? Well, no, just the room I'm in has got two massive outside walls and it is cold. All right, so hats are on. We've got a very, very busy end to this. I think the end of this window is going to feel like a summer window for United. Famous last words and all that, but it certainly feels like it certainly will be that in terms of speculation. Would it be that in terms of movement? We'll find out. Good morning to you, Carl, Stephanie. Who else is down here from the mod gang? I can't see any other names. And nice to see you there, dude. And well, let's get into everyone else. Rex, JC, Damien, Birdie B, Kevin, Ricky. We've got Paul, Jason. Said Jason twice. Birdie B, and Paul Fagan. Good morning to all of you. All right. Let's go. Now, did anybody watch that game last night? Because there's certainly a talking point that we need to take from that. Other than the fact that it was an absolutely wild game of football, madness. It's you can't help but be pissed off as a United fan. You really can't. Whether you thought it was the right thing to do at the time, or whether you stood by the decision of Ten Hag, or ignore all that. I'm just speaking about the fact that United have struggled without a left-back for 18 months. Completely struggled. And in those 18 months, Alvaro Fernandez has just really enjoyed himself and progressed. Would he be the footballer that he is today if he had stayed at Manchester United? Well, I can say categorically no. He wouldn't. The development for Alvaro Fernandez has come through being at Benfica. But it's just, yeah, it's just, whether you want to use the word outrageous or anything, just to sit back as a United fan and think that we haven't had a left back for 18 months. And this lad has just left for like 6 mil. And it's just frustrating, the decision making of this football club. And some of you might come in and say, well, that's captain hindsight. Yeah, sure. And there's some of you that keep saying, and kind of fairly, it's certainly an argument to have. You're like, why aren't United moving for him? Well, I think if United wanted to move for him, then we would have. But I think part of that, and this is something that we're taking into account when it comes to Rashford, when it comes to Garnacho. So it's something that we have to take into account when we talk about Alvaro Fernandez. Would he want to come back to United? Would he want to leave a team which is challenging for the title in Benfica? He's just won the League Cup with Benfica. He's in the Champions League playing against Lamine Yamal with Benfica, to come into Manchester United in the condition that we are in. In the same way that where Rashford goes is largely down to where he wants to go. Hence why the Barcelona conversation's coming next. Anyway, it's just frustrating. Something else that could happen, that has happened, that could well affect what happens with Rashford is Nuri Sahin's been sacked by Borussia Dortmund. You're hearing Laurie Whitwell saying that Eric Ten Hag, despite the links, has no intentions of returning to management until July, wants a bit of a break, wants some time off after the United scrutiny and everything that happened there. Does Dortmund sacking Nuri Sahin mean that Dortmund are now stepping away from any interest with Marcus Rashford? I mean, we don't know that. We have absolutely no idea. But let's get into what I consider the top line talking point from today. Above all the transfers, I've tried to update the transfer whiteboards as much as I can, apart from the one with the linked players, because I really have no idea who we've been linked with so far this summer. January. Frank, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, dude. You got Daryl saying, does Alvaro Fernandez come back in the summer? I mean, the buyback exists in the summer as well. So any conversations around Alvaro Fernandez can still exist in the summer, but we need one now. It seems like we're going after Patrick Dorgu. But this, right? Saw whispers of this yesterday, and I don't really operate on whispers. I try not to give fuel to whispers because I just think it's part and parcel of the problem of Manchester United fans. When you take something that isn't sort of ratified and you run with it and you spread the Chinese whispers around, I don't think it's a good thing. But when there's certain journalists, and Laurie Whitwell, I think, has absolutely earned his reputation as a United journalist that you can trust. And this came out yesterday. And I know I've already given you my thoughts on this. I just want to open it up to the floor and get your thoughts on it, all right? Ruben Amorim damages TV in Manchester United dressing room. Angry criticism of United's players. Caused damage to the big screen TV. He was pissed, right? Multiple sources with knowledge of the incident told The Athletic that the TV used to go through tactics was caught as collateral, and Amorim's striking reaction was striking to those on the receiving end. As he has done his whole career, Amorim prefers to stay silent straight after the final whistle instead go through analysis the next day in a more sober fashion, and that is not what he did after the Brighton game. And people are pointing towards this and saying, look at his knuckles.
My players is to give them the tools to play.
They're pointing towards that. Whether he punched TV or not, I don't know. But what's your take on this? I think, well, a quick overview of what mine was. Of course, I see it as a good thing that the players can't really get away with it anymore. That they've got somebody who's strong enough, has the charisma, has the command of the dressing room enough that Amorim can do that. And that the hairdryer treatment is back. Volpez, you're excited about that. First, I don't want the hairdryer treatment to ever come back to my football club. It shouldn't be there. And I'm really pissed off for the fact that these players have made Amorim reach this stage after 15, 16 games. And this is a manager who, look, I need to go back through and look at his time at Sporting and try and see like how bad it got before it got good. Because of Sporting, the club and the condition of it was not good when Ruben Amorim went in. But he made a point to the press that he doesn't like to speak to his players directly after the game and would rather do it the next day. And then after his Brighton game, he's in there, TV's getting broken. He's lost it. That's how frustrated he is with these players and how frustrated we are as fans. Like, this is a bit of a random segue, but it is like, we launched United People's Productions last week, and the intention is to do a higher quality video every single week. But our football club is there's so much turbulence in our club that a storyline that exists one week and a feeling and fan sentiment that exists one week, you just can't bank on it being there in 10 days' time. Like, we've got a video done, which I really don't think I'm going to release today. I'm going to have to figure out something else. But on the sort of Maguire redemption arc and the fact that I'm not saying just about how Maguire's playing, right? I'm talking about the mental resilience and how Maguire is now an example to these players and for Amorim in terms of overcoming adversity and coming through it and being better as a consequence. But now is not the time to release that, because it's the environment is not what it was last week. You can't back on United to be the same United even in a 2-week stretch. And this is what Amorim is feeling. Like Scott down there saying, from experience, it's more impactful when a cool, calm person loses their rag because you know you've let that person down. Absolutely, man. You know, there's certain people that can lose their cool straight away and it can be like a hot-headed argument. And then you can move on quite quickly. But for Ruben Amorim to do that shows that these players have made him reach that point already. Sorry, one second, let me turn my phone off there. Right. And it's just like, I hate this United squad, and hate really is a strong word. Like, I'm so frustrated with my football club. Have been for so long. But I said it going into Ruben Amorim. I said, if it doesn't work out Ruben Amorim, I don't really know where I turn. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but the fact that he has reached that point now with these players where it has to be a dressing room shakedown, like they're naughty school kids. Like, I've treated you like adults. So far, every single game, we're working on it and training, working on mistakes. I'm taking bullets for you in the press. I'm defending you. Even after the Southampton game, he was defending his players, despite the fact that we got outplayed for 75 minutes by the worst team in the Premier League ever after that era, after that amount of games. And then you go and follow it up like that. Like, what do you want me to do? That's why he's lost it. Rex, you saying rumours are that Amorim did what they wanted for the last 20 minutes at Brighton? Rumours are that the players did what they wanted. I'm not surprised Amorim's rep of player protection has gone due to these overpaid, arrogant losers. Now, obviously, we can't speculate about that, but Amorim has tried everything behind the scenes, quietly, politely, working with the training time that he has. And he saw what he got against Liverpool and Arsenal. And he's like, there you go, boys. That's what we can do. And then they go and do that against Southampton and Brighton. I'm not surprised that he's already lost it. Because these players, and this is what I said yesterday, these players have dragged the reputation of Manchester United through the mud for years. And they kind of got away with it. They've dragged their own reputations through the mud for years. Some of them haven't really cared because they've still got paid. Ruben Amorim will not let these players drag his reputation through the mud without coming out swinging. He spent years building his reputation. He spent his whole career building his own reputation. And when you start letting other people affect your reputation, you're going to defend yourself. Kind of standard human practice. So I'm not surprised. I don't blame him. What reaction are we going to see against Rangers? And we're back to the whole same conversation about reactions. Instead of momentum that can be built after two really good performances, we're back to reaction stage. He must think he's working with kids. Like the swings and the pendulums of how Manchester United's players operate, it's like working with an under-11s team, isn't it? They certainly don't operate like professionals. Like professional Premier League athletes. What's that? The top 1% of footballers in the country? Probably. And they play like that. Yeah, Birdie, I've got an absolute ton of sympathy for Ruben. And by the way, this is precisely why Ruben Amorim said, no, if I can I become Manchester United manager in the summer? I'd rather not do it mid-season. He said no. Well, not he said no. Man United said no. Gave him the ultimatum. You either become Manchester United manager now or you never will. And he wanted to become United manager enough to take on these risks that he knew were coming. I hope that there is a reaction, but as if I'd trust any of them, man. I can't. I cannot. There might be a reaction against Rangers, and then we'll go and get steamrolled 4-0 against Fulham on the weekend. We might even beat Rangers. We might even beat Fulham. And then the week after, we'll probably go and get steamrolled. I don't know where the progress comes from, but I tell you what, a change that can happen now is a January transfer window. And that's where we're in, and let's run through the news because there's quite a bit to run through, all right? Zemzem, you sent a super chat there. I'll read this one out, and I'll read a few more of your comments out then to wrap up that conversation around Amorim. You're saying you question the mental professionalism of these players at times. Mad to go from those performances against Liverpool and Arsenal to that against Southampton and Brighton. And it's something that I said during the game and after the game, and I still feel it now. Part of this has to be just United players deciding which games they fancy playing. Like, that has to be part of it. Liverpool game, yeah, man, I'm well up for that. Arsenal, God, love to knock Arsenal out of the FA Cup. Southampton, bottom. That's stinky. I've really got to turn up for work that day. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, fine. All right, going in. That's the thing that I've questioned for a long time, and I'm just seeing more and more evidence of it. Players picking and choosing, and that is the opposite of what a professional does. A professional is someone who is paid to do something week in, week out, to be relied on, to be consistent. Of course, footballers are going to have swings in form. That's not what I'm saying. But the absolute minimum is you turn up. It's like you turning up to work on a Friday and going, Steve, your boss is called Steve. I don't fancy it today. Is that right? Just gonna, I don't know. Just gonna play Sporkle. Love a bit of Sporkle, me. Yeah, you get sacked. Anyway, let's run through and let's speak about transfers, because there is one. Let me take this off now. I'm a bit warm. Talking about United gets you heated. That's exactly what Ruben went in there swinging. Don't know if he actually swing. Man, I'm so bored. This cold needs to leave. What are we now? 24 days since I got it? My God. Right. Let's speak about Patrick Dorgu. United are advancing with Dorgu. If we go to the active whiteboard, that's the only name I've really got on it. You could have... I'll update this tomorrow with other players that we have been credited with an interest in. But as it stands, there's only one active transfer, and that is Patrick Dorgu. So let's run through what the latest is on that. So Manchester United had a meeting with Lecce yesterday in Milan to discuss a deal for Dorgu. They want 40 million euros for him. United starting around the 30 million euros mark. Napoli also keen on Dorgu. That's, of course, just the pressure being exerted on United. And then we got confirmation of how much that bid was from Fabrizio Romano. 27 million euros plus add-ons. And that's not enough to convince Lecce. They want 40 million. I mean, it doesn't really sound like much of a difference to be making up, really. If United are offering probably around about 30 million, including add-ons, they want 40. Well, just go in the middle. Right? The Garnacho bid has not been accepted, and I'll speak about Garnacho next. And I'll speak about the fact that 50 million euros... Oh, God, man. I hope they headbutted that bid back through the... Well, just... It's disgusting. 27 million euros plus add-ons for Dorgu. I'm not going to get... I say this every day now. I don't know how much players are worth anymore. I really don't know how much a player's worth. Brian, you're saying I find that's a really high price for someone who's unproven and still breaking through. I mean, I tend to agree. Yeah, but apparently not. Less upfront and bigger add-ons, that'll work, says Ant. I mean, that should be the way it goes, because that's almost creating like an incentive system. Less upfront, but if the player is successful, then you can have more. And that's fine, because he's then... I say this all the time. If the player is then successful and you get more add-ons, then we're fine, because we are successful as a consequence. By the looks of it, 35 million euros is your middle ground there. That's not too much of a compromise. I don't really think that this needs to be a massive back and forth. Matt Hargreaves, Director of Football Negotiations, was in Milan yesterday. He's obviously dealing with the, football negotiations. Although when you think about that, like the optics of it, maybe it's just how Manchester United have repositioned the structure after Dan Ashworth has left. But I know Omar Barada went out to Lisbon to meet Ruben Amorim, directly to meet and to bring him in. Maybe that's just because he was the manager rather than the players themselves. But I would have expected either Jason Wilcox or Omar Barada to be involved in this. If this is the biggest deal we're doing, maybe it's not. Maybe there's other stuff going on. And there is a lot of other stuff going on. But this feels like, look, if we're offering 27 million euros and they want 40, well, 27 plus add-ons, so we call it 30 million. Compromise is 5 in the middle. And that should be done and dusted. I don't really see a need for that one to drag out. What we're saying down here. Yeah, I'm going to be speaking about this next because I'll be totally honest, there's not a lot to like about this whole Garnacho situation. That's the way I would describe it. Now this is Gaston Edul, who is sort of very reputable and credible Argentinian journalist, saying, look, it looks very likely that Garnacho is going to be leaving United. And then we got confirmation from Fabrizio Romano on the opening bid for Garnacho from Napoli. Napoli's opening bid for Garnacho was worth a €50 million package with add-ons included. So that's 50 mil with add-ons, not on top. Man United, of course, want more. Conte keeps pushing after the call on Friday. Chelsea have made contact with United and are deciding whether to bid or not. I've just had a conversation with you there about Lecce wanting €40 million for Dorgu. And I'm now having a conversation with you about the fact that Napoli are coming in with a €50 million bid for Garnacho. Are you taking the piss? Well, both of them really are. Dorgu's not worth 40 million. And Garnacho's worth more than 50. And like, people are going to come at me in the comments here, talking about Garnacho's attitude, team leaks, ego, doesn't fit the system. All of this is completely irrelevant for how much Garnacho is worth. We signed Højlund for 70-odd million. A striker with not too many minutes from Atalanta. Geez, we spent £40 million on Ahmad from Atalanta. And was it 40 million on Ahmad overall? I might have just included all the add-ons there. Like, get stuffed, man. Not you. Sorry, that's Dorgu. Where is it? Too many tabs. Too many tabs. €50 million is an absolute joke. And you know what is a joke here overall? Even more of a joke of the price of Garnacho is the fact that Manchester United are sitting here very much considering selling Garnacho in the first place. Yeah, I don't know how many years back you need to go. But Man United would never, ever in a million years have ever considered selling an academy player of Garnacho's quality. Is he the complete player? No. Would I expect anybody to be a complete player at 20? No. Do I have concerns about his attitude, his growth, whether he fit the system? Yes. All of those things are correct. But the fact that we are in a financial position as a football club, where selling Garnacho is not just being laughed off, but is being more than considered, is a sad reality. That just isn't United. It really isn't. And on top of that, and this is something that has pissed me off for a while, and now it's going to piss me off even more because it's going to really affect United. The PSR rules that exist around academy players, you know what they are. If you sell an academy player, it goes down as 100% profit because you don't have to amortize the cost. There are no upfront costs, blah, blah, blah. It goes down as 100% profit. So Premier League clubs are actively incentivized by the PSR rules to sell academy players, to fund buying other players. It's a loophole that exists, and maybe in a couple of years' time, it won't. I doubt it. Chelsea have done it for years. City have done it for years. Manchester United are about to start doing it. And Garnacho, by the looks of things, is going to be the first big example of it. And this is just modern for life. Even if our finances weren't as stricken as they are, maybe we would be in a position where we would be able to avoid it. But the fact of the matter is that they're not. Our finances are abysmal. And the quickest way to get out of that hole is to sell an academy player. Like, if you want to have your scorn at something, point towards those rules. Because if that rule didn't exist, this conversation might be different. Do I think that selling Garnacho would be a mistake in January? I would be amazed if United sold Garnacho in January and didn't bring in an attacker. So my conversation and question about United being short, I can't rule it out at all, to be fair. I can't trust United to replace Garnacho if he was to be sold. I don't think he should be sold in January. I think Garnacho should get the next 6 months to, if he wants, and of course, if he doesn't want to be at United, then you've half lost Garnacho. And the fact that his agent has been working so hard, meeting Napoli, meeting Chelsea, tells me that Garnacho would absolutely consider a move away. That his head's not half out the door, but look, I'm going to go down and read some of these questions. What do you think is the right price for Garnacho? Put it in the comments rather than a poll. We spoke about this before. I think if you're going somewhere between the 60 to 70 million euro mark, then I would want United to have a bumper sell-on clause. I'm talking like 30%. Because Garnacho, in this market, you don't buy players for how much they are worth now. It's not how transfers work. You pay a premium for how good that player could be in 3-4 years' time, and you add that on top of the current value. And that's why anybody's suggesting anywhere around 50 million for Garnacho is just like, it's just wrong. It's completely wrong. But also, are Napoli really going to spend 70 million euros, which is how much they got for Kvaratskhelia, on Garnacho? Let's find out. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. 85 million says Fizz. We're not going to get that. 70 million, 75 to 80, 70 plus add-ons, 60 plus add-ons. No sale, says Jason. 70 million, 80, 89. I think, look, if we go over to see what Damasio has been saying on this, right? He's saying that United have lowered their demands and saying that United would agree around 65 million euros. If United were to agree at 65 million euros, I've just said it there, I would want United to have at least a 25% sell-on clause. I'm not saying 25% of profits. No, I'm saying if, and he would. Garnacho is going to be worth more. Let's find out anyway. But my prediction is Garnacho would be worth more in 3 years' time if we sold him now. So we should. Yeah, man. I think it just dawned on me this morning. Just the whole conversation around United selling Garnacho is so fucked. It was literally last season when we won the FA Cup with that photo of Garnacho, Ahmad, Højlund, and Mainu standing there, and you think, man, we're looking at part of the future here. And then the next year, we're talking about selling Garnacho. It just goes to show the turbulence that exists at our club and the absolute financial pit that the Glazers left us in. Right, someone else sent a super chat, and I'll read some of your comments. Tony, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, dude. Legends to all of you. Alex, I'll be speaking with you today because we need to get this community stuff really pumping, man. You got rules, Jen. I know it's business, but the haggling is what gets me. United aren't looking to move Garnacho, but you want him. United have set the price, whatever it is, and the low ball offer still comes in. I mean, you can be frustrated about that. But that's kind of part and parcel of just football transfers. Right? You go and try and buy a house, and the owners have told you, we are not accepting any offers under 500 grand. You're probably going to go in with an offer at 490 just to tread the water, just to see what their position is. You do it, even if you've been explicitly told that you wouldn't. So that's kind of what it is with Garnacho. I'm not surprised that they went for the low ball. I'm also not surprised that United completely pushed that low ball to the side. But 50 million is an absolute piss take, if you ask me. That's the only way I can describe that offer. Let me ask you this, right? Let me see what the poll is saying. Are United going to sell Garnacho in January? What's your prediction? Yes or no? Do you think Garnacho gets sold? It was only last week where I did the video where I explained what my opinion was. I didn't think that he should be sold, but it really feels like United are trying to fund something by selling Garnacho. It feels like Garnacho is a big part of that. We're not going to get any money for Rashford. Even if he does leave, Rashford's going to be leaving on loan with an option, maybe an obligation, but likely an option. I think that's best. Look there, that photo there. It was last season. We won the FA Cup and had those four standing there, and it really did feel like a glimpse to the future. And then 8 months later, we're talking about selling Garnacho to Napoli. Yeah, man, it's just, this football club is just, it kind of loses, I don't know what our identity is anymore. I really, really don't. Let me see what you're saying down there. I really hope we have a backup left attacking mid option ready to sign. I'm going to speak about that next after Rashford. Should be a 50% sell-on clause. Don't think you get anything as big as that. Dylan saying harsh reality, but you guys wanted ruthlessness. If he has to go to save our club from the trenches, so be it. We lost Ronaldo and Beckham and Rude, so we will be just fine. I mean, that's a pretty fair comment there from Dylan. I think we will be fine. We could sell any player at Manchester United would be fine, but I suppose you could define fine right now because look at where we are. United selling Garnacho will not end our football club. United selling any player will not end our football club. And that's the thing there. If he has to go to save our club from the trenches, so be it. If Garnacho goes, and this is just a bit of a truth, I think. If Garnacho goes and Manchester United were to replace him with, not replace him, but if Garnacho went and we signed Cunha and Dorgu, I think a lot of United players would look at this squad and go, we're actually in a stronger position. But then you'd have to put belief in United to actually put the money on the table. And we've been told United are skint. Is Garnacho coming in to just improve the bottom line and to bring money in? Or is Garnacho's sale going to be there to fund actually signing someone? That would be the fear. That would be the fear. Halftime Orange is saying we've needed a complete overhaul for years. These are the ruthless decisions we've been desperate for. He doesn't fit the system and he wants out. Cash in. If he does want out, that's a big part of it. And I've seen people saying that if you sell Garnacho, just because he doesn't fit Amorim's system, are you not then operating a policy where you're just buying and selling players just to fit a manager's style and system? Isn't that what we're trying to avoid? And I would say that the big concept of that is the players that you should be signing into the team should all have the underlying principles. And this is like that are all similar and that can then shift in between systems. This is what Amorim speaks, he spoke about so often at the start. He goes, like, you're all obsessing over the back three, but it's not really what I look at when I look at my players. They can play a back three, you can shift into a back five. If you want to play a back four, they could probably easily do that as well. That's just about learning a system. But if you've got the underlying characteristics that can jump in between systems, then it's much easier to do. And if you don't, and you don't have the underlying athletic ability, then you're going to struggle in any system that you've got. Colin, you say maybe it's just stemming from all the leaks. I don't really think this is to do with the leaks, dude. If you want a sell-on clause, you can't be selling for more than 50 or 60. Maybe that's what it would be. United would sell at a lower price with Garnacho, but accept a bigger percentage sell-on clause, maybe. Jason, you think he'll be sold? Remember at the beginning of the window, they were having the same rumours about Cobby and Chelsea. I think United put the bait out and Napoli was the first club to buy it. If they sold Manu or that conversation went any further, yeah, then we've got a problem. Let me look at the poll. So 650 votes in 4 minutes and 63% of you think that United are going to sell Garnacho in January. 37% saying no. Siraj saying it's a culture reset, won't have youth anymore, that's modern football. Well, I think that's wrong. But yeah, I absolutely, and I despise that rule that actively encourages and incentivizes Premier League clubs to look at their academies differently. Instead of looking at the academy as a way to blood young local talent, the best from Manchester, the best from abroad as well, like Garnacho was. We signed him when he was 16 from Atletico. Clubs are now looking at the academy and saying, how can we use that to fund signing ready-made players? But that shouldn't be how you look at academies. The amount of players that said, like, you see City's squad right now and how they're having to spend like 400 million in January. Probably wouldn't be in that bad a position if they hadn't sold Cole Palmer. And there are so many players on that list who have gone on to become excellent players having left City's academy. Look, I can't look at this as a final wrap up here. I can't look at this deal and think, oh, I'm delighted. Wow, I'm so happy that Man United is selling Garnacho. Do I think he fits the system? Not particularly. Would I have questions and concerns about his attitude and his ability to adapt to the system? I would. And from that sense, I understand the concept of selling him. But the reality is, the reason we're selling him is because of those rules. Because it'd be 100% profit. And because it would just fund us signing other players. And I don't like that. And that's just where United is as a football club right now. And speaking about another academy player who could be leaving, you move on to speak about Marcus Rashford. And this one has dripped and dragged all January long. Lots of clubs that he's been linked with, and now he's met with one more, right? Fabrizio Romano confirming that Marcus Rashford's camp had a meeting with Barca director Deco on Monday. Took place in Lisbon. Barca are keen on signing Rashford, that he's open to the move, but it depends on exits. Speaking about Eric Garcia and Ansu Fati. And then yesterday, Eric Garcia had an absolute blinder from the bench for Barcelona as they won 5-4 away to Benfica in the Champions League. And now Hansi Flick is like, wow, he's got to stay. So I don't think that does Rashford any favours when it comes to Barcelona, right? I don't really understand why Barcelona would even be having a conversation about Marcus Rashford anyway. They've got counter-attacking players galore. They've got attackers galore. I don't really see what... I don't know. Maybe you just can't have too much of a good thing. Well, you know you can. But maybe they just could do with another attacking player. Just seems odd to me. But Barcelona, well, let's be honest, Barcelona hasn't exactly operated as a football club that you'd be jealous of at any point for a long, long time in terms of behind the scenes. Let's find out. Rashford's agents have now met Barcelona. They met with Dortmund. Dortmund had just sacked their manager. They met with AC Milan previously, which seemed like it was going to happen, but now it looks like Kyle Walker's going there, and they can only sign one non-EU player in January. This Rashford situation annoys me because it all suits what Rashford wants at this point in time now, rather than what is good for Manchester United. And I suppose that this isn't a slight on Rashford. It's just this is how all these transfers always go. The players have the power. Players have so much more power than they had before. And he wants Barcelona. So I think what you're going to see is Marcus Rashford just wait and wait and wait. 3rd of Feb, by the way, that's when the January transfer window closes. No idea why it's the 3rd of Feb, but it is the 3rd of Feb. 11 p.m. on the 3rd of Feb. He's going to wait as long as possible to give Barcelona as long as possible to maybe move Eric Garcia on, maybe move on Ansu Fati and create space for Rashford on the wage bill. But by doing so, United are sat in a situation where Rashford hasn't got a club. And look, and you're talking about Rashford coming back. I'm going to put that down as a poll now, actually. Right, there's 1,000 votes in and 65% of you think that United are going to sell Garnacho in January. And I want to ask you this one as the next one. Do you think Rashford finds a new club in January? Yes or no? Doesn't matter what club it is. don't know where I stand on that question now. If you had asked me that like last week, when all the AC Milan rumours were sort of like really popping around, Barca was involved, Dortmund was involved, Monaco threw the name in the hat, Marseille's names being thrown in, I'd say, yeah, for sure. The longer it goes on, probably the less confident I am that United will find a new club for Rashford. I completely agree, by the way, Robert. I know he needs to. And I also agree with Swanky. It is his wages. Wages have been the reason why Rashford is in this situation. We saw the reports that came out yesterday from the BBC, from the Telegraph, saying Rashford is happy to stay at Man United. He's there and ready. He's training. He's putting in extra sessions. No problem with Ruben Amorim. And I think that's Rashford's camp going, oh, you know what, lads? There might not actually be a club that pays Rashford's wages here, so we should probably make sure that if he does stay, that we haven't completely burned the bridge. Even though we burned the bridge by putting the interview out saying that I'm ready for a new challenge, right? That's why that went out. I really do feel that there's been a growing sense of awareness from the Rashford camp that we might not actually be able to find a new club because of the wages. Yeah, and RD, completely agree with you on that. He needs to compromise on his salary if he wants to move. What's more important to you at this point in time, Marcus? Is it how much money's going into the bank for you? I'm just talking about this 6-month period, all right? What's best for you in these next 6 months? And I don't think it's playing for Manchester United. So it might mean that you have to take a bit of a wage cut to go somewhere else. Because I'm sure Barcelona would look very differently at Rashford if he was on 100 grand less a week. You can make that call. You can say, yeah, I'm happy to ignore 100 grand a week just so I can play for Barcelona for the next 6 months. Increase his own possibilities and options. He can make that compromise himself. Let me see what the poll is saying. 500 votes are in, and 62% of you are saying you don't think that Rashford finds a new club in January. I don't know where I'm at. It kind of feels like a 50-50 right now. It really does feel like a 50-50. If I'm part of Rashford's camp, right? If I'm part of his representatives and I'm looking for what is best for Marcus Rashford, what is best for Marcus Rashford is a bit of a fresh start in January. It's not going back to United. Because of, as I've explained before, if he comes in and he does well, people will be like, well, you should have done that every single game. Where's that been? And if he comes in and does badly, then he is the scapegoat. There would be nobody else getting more scrutiny than him. It's not a healthy environment for him to come back to United right now. So in that sense, the best thing for Rashford is to find a new club. And if that's Barcelona and you got to take a wage cut, so be it, Marcus. That's the best thing for you. Or Marseille. Well, Marseille's a bit random. Monaco or Dortmund or AC. I just think he's getting bad advice. And he's been getting bad advice for a lot at a time. Of course, a lot of it is himself as well. But never mix. If you can, throughout your whole life, ladies and gents, try and avoid mixing family and business, because it will reach a point where it becomes a problem. Maybe early, maybe late. But when you mix the two, things can get confused. Now, moving on from, look, as I said, it's a busy show today. If I can ask now, please do drop a like on the video. It makes a big, big difference. I'm sure there's plenty of you tuning in. Let me see if there's anything else that's happened whilst I've been live and direct. I don't think so for now. And I want to speak about something that I don't think will happen, but a conversation that is starting. And if I link it back to this, if Garnacho leaves in January, bear in mind that we're trying to find a club for Rashford. Anthony is going to Real Betis. I'd be surprised if United didn't make a move for some form of an attacker. And that's where you're seeing this, that United are looking for a new... This is from the Daily Mail, so pinch of salt is why we're only speaking about it 45 minutes into the show. United are eyeing a move for a new striker before the end of the window if Garnacho, Rashford or Mainu leave. And there's names here. Brian Mbuemo, Matheus Cunha, Liam Delap, Jonathan David. There's plenty of names that are being thrown around, right? But there's one that I want to speak about. That's Matheus Cunha. This is not a consequence of United selling Garnacho and me just scrambling around and thinking, oh, who would I... I'll go on then, Cunha, yeah, that'll do. Cunha has made us look silly quite a few times we've played against him over these last few years. And if you're looking at the inside forward position in this team, Cunha would be a fit and a half. If you're looking at the age profile, he's 25. Jonathan, you're saying no chance until the summer, and I would say that is the case. But something seems to be happening. Sorry. Something seems to be happening with Cunha at Wolves. Because I think it was only a couple of weeks ago that he was going to sign a new contract. And then you saw the fallout and the reaction to what he did in the... I can't remember who Wolves were playing the other day. And the manager was pissed off at it. Vitor Pereira was really annoyed at him. And then last night now you're seeing Nottingham Forest coming in and considering making a move for him. If it reaches the point where it's untenable with Wolves and Cunha, which it kind of sounds like it might be a little bit behind the scenes, and that's why I'm saying that there's a possibility here. United, well, could we afford to bounce? I don't know. Because I have no idea. How much do you think Cunha costs? Genuinely, again, the same point I make with every transfer. I've got no idea how much a player is worth these days. How much would he cost? You're paying for he's 25, he's Premier League proven. There's premiums that come with a player like Cunha. Could you, debt work going down there, could you loan him until the end of the season? I think that's very unlikely. I don't know why Wolves will accept that. 40 million up, 60, 65, 35, 50 million, 65, 15 or 20. Hansley, no chance. 57 to 65. Very specific there, Shane. 45 is what I was thinking. I've got no idea. Jamie, I think I'd agree with you down there. Say north of 50. That's what I would presume. And I've said on this channel, and I will pretty much maintain it, I don't personally see United completing a transfer too far, like north of 50 million for a few years, at least 2 years. Euro was 52 million in the summer. I think that's pretty much going to be the peak of the price that we will pay for a player. So maybe that rules us out of anything to do with Cunha. But it's certainly, it's one to watch. And I think, I'm not just talking about Cunha, I'm talking about attackers in general. Jonathan David, of course, is available on a free in the summer. I wouldn't look at Jonathan David in the same way I'd look at Matheus Cunha. Cunha could play in that left inside forward position and also as the number 9 in ways that we can't do it right now. He would be a great signing. And it's easier to say because you've seen more of the player and you understand more of the player, and that's why you pay the premium, right? Loan him with obligations to buy in the summer, says Paul. It would depend very much on how Wolves' finances are. I don't actually know. I've got no idea. But just keep an eye. I don't know why I did that. Keep an eye on Cunha at Wolves is what I would say. Because if it really is reaching the point where Wolves are going, we should probably cash in because of the clashes, of something that's going on behind the scenes, or he doesn't want to be there, then I think there's a possibility. We'll find out. Yeah. Last couple of minutes of the show, let's just run through your questions that you're firing down here. Transfer market values him at 50 million. I love Transfer Market as a website, but there's no point looking at those valuations. Like they value Patrick Dorgu at 20 million euros, which is probably more about how his actual transfer value is, but not how much he would actually cost. United traditionally overpay, and they pay on the wages. I think our wages have got better from the signings we made in the summer. I think the most was De Ligt, actually. And that was because he came from Juve and Bayern. So I think we were better with the other signings, though. His value significantly drops because of the contract refusal. It's the best time to strike. That's kind of why I'm having a conversation about it, Miss Smith. Mr. Anderson. Don't know why I just said Mr. Anderson there. Bit of a random one, but do you think we should go for Angel Gomez? I think in the summer I would have had a conversation about Angel Gomez, but now I would hesitate to... Do I think Angel Gomez could come in on a free transfer with Christian Eriksen going out? Yeah, I could easily see that being a fair sort of squad replacement. But I would be worried about the size of Angel Gomez because... Who was mentioning Rory Delap in the comments? Rory Delap? No. Liam Delap. Again, a player who's done very well since leaving City. I think we should get out Nuri, says Balsa. We're going after Dorgu. Heard Arsenal have already bid for Cunha on Sky Sports. Haven't seen that. We'll find out. You got whispers from Italy saying that there's going to be more talks between Garnacho and Napoli today, obviously. I think we're in for a busy end of the window. Toasty, completely disagree with you down there saying I think Garnacho's for 50 mil is fair business. It's not. It's nowhere near fair business, man. You cannot look at... This is what I'm trying to tell you. You cannot look at the value of a player right now and think that's how much that player should be going for. You have to add in future potential. Garnacho would go to Serie A. Serie A is actually a pretty damn competitive league right now, but you'll get more space. He'll have more freedom. And he will become a better player there. And his value will go up. And United will want part of that in the package for selling him. That was a stacked show. I feel like I got on top of it. It's been a very, very, very turbulent January for me as well as this football club. And I can't help it. I'm normally been very good at United not affecting my mood. Being able to separate a little bit. Haven't been able to do that for a while. Because it is so turbulent. I'm not happy that Ruben Amorim felt the need to do it. But I'm happy that these players... I don't know. Just talking about this club right now just takes it out of you. It really does. But that's all the updates. Confirmed updates on Garnacho, on Dorgu, on Rashford. Little conversation there around Cunha today. I'm going to probably have to do a lunchtime video trying to summarize all this because there's not really one point I can pick out. There's so many talking points. I will avoid TVs. I remember when I was young and I used to have like anger problems. Not massive anger problems. I've even got some cuts on my knuckles there. I remember I punched a whiteboard once at school. And I broke the whiteboard because I'm double-hard. And yeah, I've got scars on my fingers. Don't do it, kids. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video. I'll be back at lunchtime with another video, as always. I'm expecting a busy end to the window. And if I look at the poll to end the show, we've got 1,000 votes are in, and 57% of you don't think that Rashford finds a new club in January. I'm 50-50 on it, but I think it's a real potential now because I think he's priced himself out of a move. Take it easy, everyone. Much love.